going to be doing a practice, as you probably saw, called planting flowers and pulling weeds. So I am a meditation teacher, and I am also a psychologist, and I work in organizations building cultures of well-being. So I really focus a lot on how to create the conditions that help people to thrive. And I was thinking about the theme for today, and because it's spring, even though it's chilly here, I just feel bundled up. It's spring, and there's a lot of flowers happening. And I was thinking, like, wow, like we can think about our minds like a garden, right? And sometimes we can just like observe the contents of the mind, just like we'd sit in a garden and we'd notice the plants or the flowers, the weeds or the squirrels, whatever is there, and we can simply observe. And that's a really great way to cultivate acceptance, non-reactivity, the ability to observe our minds. That's really important. And then sometimes in the garden of our mind, we want to pull the weeds. We want to maybe get rid of some of the negative thoughts or negative views that we might have that leave us feeling bad. So that's one way of gardening in the mind. We can also plant flowers. And so what does that mean? Well, planting flowers is really intentionally turning towards something and filling our awareness, filling the mind with flowers, things that are uplifting, more positive qualities of the mind or heart. So that might be like orienting to things that bring us joy or bring us a sense of optimism or hope. So I see it as three ways of working with our mind. We can just observe, and so that's just letting it be. We can let go, like try and let go of the negative habits, or we can let in more of the uplifting or energizing ways of attending in our mind. And just like a garden, if our mind is filled with what is more uplifting or energizing, we're going to feel better. And the research on how our brain works, there is this phenomena called neuroplasticity, which is that everything that you think, do, or pay attention to changes the brain, changes how the brain is wired, changes the biochemistry of the brain, and makes it more likely that you will think or feel that way in the future. So when we turn our attention to something that's uplifting, not only does it feel resourcing in the present moment, it also, through positive neuroplasticity, wires in the brain chemistry and changes the structure of the brain such that we'll become more resilient when challenges come up later in our life. So it's not that we want to be in denial or ignore what's hard or that feeling bad is wrong, because it's part of life. But if there are times when we can let in more of the uplifting or planting the flowers, it feels good in the moment, and it creates that biochemistry that makes it more likely that we'll feel good in the future. So it's very resourcing for just us in the moment and us moving forward. So we're going to do a little practice of planting flowers in the mind, and just as a way to start, just to kind of give us a little bit of a sense of how we're feeling in this moment. I'm going to invite you to, in the chat, if you wish, to just type in 1 or 2 words about how you're feeling right now. It could be how you're feeling in your mind, emotionally. And there's no right answer, but let's just see how we are before we start our mental gardening. How are we doing? So just typing in a couple of words here. Buzzing, distracted, okay. Busy, yeah. Anxious, weedless, okay. Thank you, Omar. Focused. Okay. So you've got a range. And, there's probably tired and distracted. Okay. So distracted and sleepy. Okay. So over caffeinated. Yes. It's, these ways that we try and energize ourselves throughout the day sometimes work for short periods. And sometimes there's a tipping point where it's like, oh, this is too much. Okay. So we're going to practice training our attention in a way that will hopefully help us feel energized, maybe support a little more focus, more steadiness, and maybe feel the benefit of feeling this uplift. Any questions before we start? Okay. One of the things actually I just want to mention from a research perspective is that one of my primary practices as a meditation teacher is really integrating nature into the work that I do. It's so important to me. And there's been research that shows that when we pay attention to nature, whether that's something green in our environment or looking out a window, there's some really interesting benefits that happen physiologically. Our cognitive functioning increases. There's memory strengthening, attention becomes more focused, our impulses become inhibited, so that maybe bad habits, we're more able to inhibit those impulsive actions, and a quality of openness. And our mood increases. There's a sense of optimism and happiness. What also decreases is we decrease our stress hormones, we decrease blood pressure, we decrease muscle tension and heart rate. So we're going to combine these two. We're going to use nature and we're going to be orienting towards what's uplifting and plant some flowers in the mind. Okay, so enough of me talking. Let's do some practice. So I'm going to invite you to just shift your body in any way that feels good. And you might want to take a stretch. Some of us are in the beginning of our day. Some of us are partway through the day, sitting on these devices, over caffeinated, maybe a little dull. And you can leave your cameras on or turn them off, whatever you're comfortable with. And let's just have the eyes just softly lowered. You can close them fully or just have them orienting downward and just letting the gaze rest. And let's begin by taking a few extra deep breaths, breathing in and breathing out. See if you can inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. So deep breath in through the nose, exhaling fully through the mouth. And just letting your breath resume its natural rhythm. You might notice that with the in-breath, there's a slight increase in a sense of vitality. And with the out-breath, a nice sense of relaxation. Just begin by stabilizing our attention on the breath. I like to just sense that with each out breath, I feel myself feeling grounded, settled. Each out breath, you might even feel a sense of your roots growing down through the bottom of your feet into the earth, feeling yourself supported and held. With each inhale, you might feel yourself breathing up through the body. It's like up through the roots, through the stem, and almost like the top of your head was like a flower reaching for the sun. Exhaling and rooting. Inhaling up and opening, blossoming to the sun. Just as you settle your attention on the breath, just feeling the sense of vitality that comes through the breath. This living, breathing body. And in a moment, I'm going to ask you to open your eyes. And I'm going to invite you, when you open your eyes, to just notice something in your environment that creates a sense of happiness. Could be a view out your window, it could be an object in your space, photograph, picture. So go ahead and open the eyes and turn your attention to something in your environment that brings a little bit of pleasure. It might even be a sunbeam in your room, or even a pile of clothes that's in the corner, but it's got your favorite shirt in it. Whatever is in your space right now that brings a little bit of an uplift. Even the color of paint on your walls. And whatever you notice, just let your attention rest there. And take in a few breaths. And if it's something from nature that is going to be extra potent, but it doesn't have to be. And just breathing in and noticing what it is about this object that you enjoy. Is it the color? Is it a memory? Is it the shape? Just let yourself breathe and take in the impact, the feeling of this object. And you might even offer a little tiny smile to this object if you're not doing that already. Just noticing how that feels. Just extend a little gratitude. Just letting your whole attention be filled with whatever it is that you're seeing. When your attention wanders, as it probably has already, that's totally normal. Just bring it back and just letting it rest. Just seeing this object as if you're seeing it for the first time. Like, oh, hello. Go ahead now and close the eyes. Just noticing how you feel Just feeling the movement of energy in the body. Feeling any emotion that is present. Just as we can train our attention to notice things outside of ourselves, we can also plant flowers by turning our attention to memories that uplift us. So I'm going to invite you now to bring to mind a time recently where you felt joy or wonder or awe or love. Just let your mind choose one time. Whatever pops up is just the right one. Could be a time with a pet. It could be a time with a colleague. It could be having your favorite cup of coffee or a time in nature. And let yourself just go back to that moment. Bring it right here, close in. If there are other people involved, just seeing who they are and their faces. Just really feeling, what about this moment feels so good? Noticing the feeling in the body. A change in the mind or heart. Just as a way to amplify this flower planting. Again, you might want to just give a little slight smile if you're not already. Shifting our body in this way just releases more oxytocin, more serotonin. Really helping to wire in the uplift that comes. Just feeling how this moment is imprinted into your body, your heart, and your mind. And we're going to do one more practice. So just with a big breath in, with your eyes still closed. Big breath out. And I'll ask you to bring to mind someone you feel grateful for. Someone who extended themselves, opened themselves, connected with you. Who's someone you feel grateful for? And whoever comes to mind is just the right person. And just bring that person, or maybe it's an animal being or a tree being. What is one being you feel grateful for? Just bring that being fully into your mind and heart right now. Just really feeling in the body what it's like to be in relationship with this being. Breathing together, feeling the connection. Feeling how this being lives in your body, your heart, and your mind. And a little slight smile of appreciation for this being and its presence in life. Just feeling the impact on your heart, capacity of your heart to be touched by life, and the space around you, the memories you have, the connections you have with others. It's feeling those deep roots of vitality, aliveness, drawing up through the roots with the breath. Just the goodness of this life force, this connection. If there are any places in your life that feel a little tender or painful or struggling, see if you can breathe in the vitality and openness that come from this practice. Just breathe that in and let it meet those places inside that might feel a little tender. Just like a plant puts down a taproot and draws up nutrients and sends it to the part of itself that needs a little bit more energy, so too can we do that through this practice. Feeling and sensing just the goodness that's here. Letting it bring a little more vitality, a little more peace, a little more connection to our lives. I invite you to take a nice deep breath in, drawing up from the roots, filling up the stem and the leaves and the flower. And go ahead and give your body a little stretch and wiggle if you'd like. And open your eyes. And again, take a look around the space that you're in. If there's a window, see if anything looks a little different. And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. What's this 3D world that we're living in now? What catches your eye? And just notice how you feel. Notice how the body feels, heart and mind. I'm going to invite you again to type in a few words. How do you feel after this practice? If anything's changed, and just experimenting here. So how's this living, breathing you, heart, mind, body doing? Omar's relaxed, grateful, relaxed, happy, grateful, energized, calm, more connected. Great. Okay. And if there's anything that feels a little uncomfortable, that's welcome too. Chill, present. So this practice, I want to invite you to try it as often as you can, this inclining the mind towards what's uplifting, what's positive. It's a really lovely way, especially during our days when we're on computers a lot, to lift our gaze up away from the computer, to give ourselves like more dimensionality, especially if we can focus on something in nature, something that's got a little bit of vitality here for us, or even the horizon. If you're able to look out, like if there's a window, interesting research shows that when we lift our gaze up and we look out, it's we create more of a sense of optimism. We're able to access more of the parts of our brain that are connected with creativity, problem solving. Because the looking down at our screens is the body posture that comes usually from anxiety. We can become hyper focused, and that creates more cortisol and adrenaline. Uplift, open, we're shifting our biochemistry and we're changing our brain so that we can really feel refreshed. So it's almost like, putting flowers in, giving them a little bit of water. We want to see what we can do with our attention to optimize ourselves. So any questions or comments? Love to open this up for a few minutes.